a senior clinical lecturer at the University of Exeter Medical School. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World, Dr. Pankhania. Now, despite strict COVID-19 measures in place, cases in China are on the rise. Why?
So China has done really well with its test, trace, contain strategy at the beginning of the pandemic. We can learn from each other. So the European nations, United States, did really well with the deployment of the mRNA vaccines. And you can see the difference now with the Europeans, the United States almost in a free state now, because they have been using a better quality range of vaccines. And I would urge China to do the same, which is please change from the vaccines that you're using to the better outcome effect mRNA vaccines, and you will be in a better place.
Okay, so the rise in the number of COVID-19 cases in China is due to the fact that China was entirely dependent on its locally produced Chinese jabs, correct?
That is correct, and also low uptake of their own vaccines. So it's a double issue. One, the vaccine made and used in China is good, but it's not as good as the mRNA vaccines. Furthermore, the uptake in China has not been in the high 90s, especially in the vulnerable groups. So with regard to, what would China do? I would say China would be much better off to say, let us buy some AstraZeneca, Oxford, Moderna or Pfizer platform of vaccines and immunize our population at pace. It will put them in a much better place.
And Professor, when the rest of the world started to lift COVID-19 lockdowns across the world, China held those lockdowns in place. In fact, China's zero COVID policy has undoubtedly helped in saving lives, especially in the initial stages of the pandemic. But now it seems that zero COVID strategy is not so fruitful anymore. Why is that?
So it's not so fruitful because those lockdowns also have consequences, and those consequences may not result in a direct COVID-related death, but nevertheless it relates to poor outcomes. So you have poverty, you have deprivation, you have stuck in that lockdown state for a long time, mental health issues, and some people also have a premature death as a result. So these are all consequences. And now that we know the way forward is very, very straightforward, which is either you have an immune population or you immunize your population and make them immune. And that way you're protecting the most vulnerable people. And we know who the vulnerable people are. And then China will be open to business just like the United States and Europe is.
All right, Dr. Bharat Pankhania, it's always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World.